everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today I'm taking a look at Chaos Battletome, Disciples of Tzeentch, to go along with my review of Order Battletome, Kharadron Overlords. Now this is an update to the current Tzeentch book. It's got some, well, a lot of point changes, some general rule changes, and some changes to the allegiance rules. In general, just how like summoning and fate points and stuff work. It's just tweaks for the most part. Some rebalancing, and some stuff got better, some stuff got worse. So what can you expect from said Battletome? All the usual stuff. Talking about Tzeentch, how he makes people crazy. You know, how he knows the future, knows the past, can control everything, is generally just kind of the architect of fate, and a huge dick. Who just messes with people, past, present, and future. And yeah, you're gonna get pretty much what you got in the last Battletome, with some updated stuff to just talk about like the Necroquake and all the things that have happened in the Mortal Realms and the timeline for Warhammer Age of Sigmar between now and then. It's in full color and clocks in at 119 pages, but 120 pages, which is pretty cool. You also get some new endless spells, which is pretty sweet. The Kharadron Overlord sadly did not get anything that hot and exciting, but you do. And yeah, there's some kind of like army composition changes too. When you see how horrors work now, they kind of work the old way, but they also kind of work a new way. It's a lot. Anyway, like I said, full color. You're getting an update on all the things happening. Some talk about the Crystal Labyrinth, where Tzeentch keeps all of his dudes. And of course, where the cults are in the Spiral Crux. So, there's not, like, I like this. This is actually awesome. I like this guy's head is throwing the horns. My favorite piece of art in this whole thing. If you're not familiar with Tzeentch or the old Chaos, Realms Chaos books, then this is a great update on what's going on with the Great Changer. And also some of the classic characters like the Curseling and the Changeling. They're all still in here because, of course, they're demons and they don't die. So it didn't matter if the old world blew up, they could just kind of transfer over to the new one. You get some organizational stuff for the secret cults, like the Hidden Order, the different marks of change. Just a nice, thick color section. Now, this was something I actually wanted to talk about. What a dynamic, artistic shift this set of pages is. Now, I'm super into this. There is something 1980s, like, chaos fantastic about these two pages, but there's nothing else in the book like that. Everything else goes back to the classic art style. I'm just gonna tell you right now, GW, I want more of this. I want more crazy, I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of half Mike Mignola with like the chiaroscuro, like the strong, like light and dark, half like 80s 2000 AD. Yes, please, more of this in your books. It's way more punk rock than this like highly polished, highly finished stuff. I don't want magic card art in my books. I want more stuff that feels GW. That feels GW to me. That's got some just rawness to it that I want to see more of. And I was stoked to see a piece of art like this in the book. And just like how it talks about what the horrors do to people and how horrifying it is. And what's funny is it's such a shift. Like when you go back to this other classic art, like this is beautiful art. It's nice and finished. It's all done in like, you know, 3D drawing programs and digital drawing programs. Like this is all clearly digital wings, digital painting. But like that right there, whoa, it jumps right out at you. Like it just punches out of the page. And it's so different. When I flipped the book open, it's right near the middle. It was like the first thing I saw. One of my favorite things. And it's so funny because people probably yelling and screaming like, just get the rules, man. Fuck. But this, I really like that. That was cool. I want to know what this weird cephalopod is. It's like coming out of the ground here. But some cool color sections and stuff as well. Of course, featuring the float dwarves because they're in the new two-player share set for a limited time only. Got some Kerry Weaver. All the new plastic kits have been coming out for a long time. Vortimus the All-Seeing. That little plastic character dude. And then all the new cool Zangors and stuff that came out in the last book. There are some like title changes, like before it was just like Herald of Tzeentch and the Burning Chariot. He's called the Fate Skimmer now. So like when you're looking through the War Scrolls, if you're having a hard time finding something when you're using the app, because of course today the app should be updated with all the new War Scrolls, so you can go check it out for yourself. If you just want me to shut up and you can go do that. If you're having a hard time finding anything, they did give some like kind of titles to stuff as opposed to just having it be like Herald on Tzeentch, like stuff like that. They did the same thing in the Slash book. Everything kind of got a name. More color section. I do love the reimagining of the Tzeentch stuff in the last 2 editions. I mean, this is probably like 6 or 7 years old now, but it's still super cool. Painting guides, because of course you cannot have a book without painting guides. And we're jumping in, here we go, Allegiance abilities. So I'm gonna go through all these. The minutia of some of the changes, I'm probably not gonna pick up on because I haven't played against Tzeentch in a while. I've played against Tzeentch units, like in like Beast of Chaos armies and Chaos armies and stuff. I haven't played against like a pure Tzeentch army in a long time, so the Allegiance stuff I'm a bit fuzzy on, but for the most part, it's not that different. Fate dice are Fate dice. You roll 9 dice at the start of each battle round. After army setup, before the first battle round begins, and you put them aside. These are your Fate dice. You can exchange them for dice in other rolls later on. But they give you a very specific list now. In the beginning, it was kind of just vague. It was just like, any dice you roll, you can exchange for these Fate dice. No, now they've been very like specific on like exactly which ones you can do. So if spend a dice basically to change a roll, you have to spend 1 dice per die in the roll as well. They've been very clear about it. So like, you don't get to change a run roll or sorry, a charge roll with 2 dice and spend 1 fate dice to change both dice. It's just 1 to 1, and they're just being very explicit. So it's casting rolls, unbinding rolls, dispelling rolls, run rolls, charge rolls, hit rolls, wound rolls, save rolls, and any roll that determines the damage of a melee weapon or missile weapon, and battle shock tests. Locus change, so subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by melee weapons that target friendly Tzeentch demon units that are wholly within 12 of a Tzeentch demon hero, so no protection for the mortals, but for the demons, it's pretty cool. And then change covens, you get 6 change covens in here that you can basically become affiliated with, but all of them demand traits, artifacts, and I think it's just traits and artifacts. Some of them that require specific units might enforce other things too, but you've basically gotta give up the ability to choose to take a lot of these things. And of course, you can take the Eternal Conflagration, the Host's Duplicitous, the Host's Arcanum, the Cult of the Transient Form, the Profane Cult, and the Guild of Summoners. If you have a change coven keyword, then you can't exchange it, obviously, but you can still be included in the army. And then, of course, from the Crystal Labyrinth, you can summon Demons of Tzeentch. Now, the earning of summoning points is actually pretty slow in this army. You can summon units of Tzeentch demons to the battlefield if you collect enough fate points. Each time a casting roll made by friend or foe is successful, and the spell's not unbound, you receive a fate point. So, you play against a very magic-heavy enemy, you're going to earn a lot of these. You yourself, I mean, you do cast a lot of magic. Most of your units are wizards. Your opponent's going to run out of spells. But there's not like a rush. You're not going to rush to 30. You're going to be like turn 2, turn 3, bringing out Lords of Change and stuff. You'll still be able to get quite a few, though. Each unit summon costs a number of fate points. You gotta have enough fate points to summon them, and then summoned units must be set up wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Tzeentch hero and more than 9 from enemy units, and then you subtract the summon units cost from the total that you have. You don't lose them all when you buy them, though. Remember some of the previous summoning things, you would lose all your remaining points when you spent them? Not this one. This one's just buy what you can afford. So it's 10 for 3 Screamers, 10 Brimstones, 10 Blue Horrors, or 12 for a Flux Master on a disc, which is a Herald of Tzeentch. 12 for an Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch, 12 for a Changecaster, Herald of Tzeentch, and then 18 for 3 Flamers, Burning Chariot, 20 for 10 Pink Horrors, 24 for a Fate Skimmer on a Burning Chariot, and 30 for a Lord of Change. So they do, I mean, you're either letting your opponent cast spells so you can earn fate points, which isn't a terrible idea, but then you're, suffering whatever the effects of the spells are, and then try to just wear them down. But I'd say by turn 3 probably, or 4, you're going to be able to get a Lord of Change in there if you're saving up for it. Obviously, just bringing in Horrors is probably also great, just to be able to camp objectives and stuff as well. And then you get your Gifts of Worship. So you have the Agendas of Anarchy. Now these are interesting. At the start of hero phase, you can say that your army intends to complete one of the following agendas before the start of your next hero phase. You have the turn to do it and your opponent's turn, typically. You must tell your opponent which agenda you intend to complete, and you cannot complete the same agenda more than once per battle. Now, if you're double rounding somebody and you're gonna not be able to complete it, possibly because you're only gonna get to your next hero phase almost immediately. But if you're not double rounding somebody, then there's a good chance you'll be able to get one of these off. If a friendly Tzeentch unit completes one of these, the unit gains that ability for the rest of the battle, and friendly Tzeentch units that complete more than one must choose which one they want to keep, and the other one's lost. So they're all pretty neat, and some of them are relatively easy to do. It's basically just like make a promise, keep a promise, and you get a benefit, and you get the benefit for the rest of the game. So there's Mass Conjuration. Pick a friendly Tzeentch wizard if that wizard successfully casts 2 spells and or endless spells in that hero phase with an unmodified casting roll of 9+, and either spell or endless spell is unbound. This agenda is completed. And remember, you can use your fate dice to do this too, right? So like, if you got a good roll of fate dice, there's a very good possibility you can just spend your fate dice to make these things happen. And the ability is to add one of the casting rolls of that Tzeentch wizard that completed the agenda until the rest of the battle. which is pretty cool. The ninefold Dismantlement agenda, pick an enemy unit in the battlefield that has 9 or more models. If that unit's destroyed before the end of that turn, this agenda is completed. So you can destroy a unit for a round, add 1 of the hit rolls for attacks made by melee weapons by the friendly Tzeentch unit that destroyed that unit and completed this agenda. So if you send in a Lord of Change or something like that, they kill 9 models, like let's say it's just something small like 9 Grots or whatever, they get +1 to hit for the rest of the game. Overthrow leaders, pick an enemy hero or monster on the battlefield with a wound characteristic of 9 or more. If that hero monster is slain at the end of the turn, the agenda is completed. It has to be before the end of that turn, so you have to kill them in 1 round. They don't have to have 9 or more remaining, they could just have head started at 9 or more, so it's not that hard to actually do. And then you get to add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target the friendly Tzeentch unit that destroyed the hero or monster that completed this agenda. So, 2+ save, big guys. That's kind of neat. You have a lot of healing in your army, but you could get a very tough Greater Demon. Reckless Abandon, or even your Zangors or your Enlightened and stuff as well. Agenda, at the start of your charge phase, pick a friendly Tzeentch unit that's more than 9 inches away from an enemy unit. If that enemy unit's charge move in the charge phase ends within 12 inches, half inch of an enemy model, this agenda is completed. And then add 1 of the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by the Tzeentch unit that completed this agenda if that unit made a charge move in the same turn. So all your melee weapons get +1 attack. That's the one I think you're going to probably just spend a single fate dice usually to get, so you just make sure you're 9 inches away, and then make that 9-inch charge, and all your weapons get +1 attack. That's a Reckless Abandon, I think, is probably the best one. If you have a single model with a pile of attacks, or a unit that has more than 1 attack profile. So even the Zangors, like the Enlightened and stuff, could be pretty cool. Although Skyfires are super popular, the Enlightened are still pretty cool too, and getting an additional attack in each model is kind of neat. And once again, you can use Fate Dice to make this happen. Tides of Anarchy, if a friendly Tzeentch unit that has 9 or more models gains control of an objective that was controlled by your opponent at the start of your hero phase, this agenda is completed. The friendly Tzeentch unit must still have 9 or more models when it gains control. And then each Tzeentch model in that unit that completed this agenda counts as 2 models instead of 1 when holding control of the objective. That one's amazing. So you just camp a giant unit of horrors on something if you've taken it away from your opponent, and then that unit counts as, like let's say it's a 20-man unit, it counts as 40 models. Oh my god. And it's going to subdivide too when they die. So if it's pink horrors turn to 2 blue horrors, and then they still count as double for the rest of the battle. So like you have this like endless horde where like 10 guys remaining can still count as 20 models until the end of the game. That's Tides of Anarchy is going to be one that, and you can only use these once, so not all of your units can do Tides of Anarchy, but you get one big fat unit that does it, and then it's just like, you're never getting me off this objective. Command traits. Alright, so we're into this. Some of these are duplicated, so Arch Sorcerer, Nexus of Fate, and Magical Supremacy are the same on the Tzeentch Arcanite heroes and Demon heroes, and Nexus of Fate is also there on the Tzeentch Mortal hero if you want to take one. So Arch Sorcerer, no tricks or spells from Lore of Fate. Nexus of Fate, start your hero phase. If this general's in the battlefield, you can roll a die. If you do so, you can place 1 of your Destiny dice with that roll. So if you only have low Destiny dice left, that's pretty cool because Nexus of Fate lets you just like sub in if you get a good roll, like get rid of your 1s and 2s and put a new one in. So you're still only getting 9 for the game, but your low ones you can start replacing each round, and you get a try every turn basically to try and do it, which I think is awesome. And then Magical Supremacy added 12 inches to the range within which this general can attempt to unbind and dispel spells and endless spells. So your unbinding range goes up to 42 inches. That's pretty rad. Not great, but I mean, because 30 inches is still huge. But 42 is like the table, pretty much from anywhere. Like you need to be like on the back edge to not be able to touch the other side of the table, and you're going almost all the way to either side. I don't know, you are going to either side. You're almost going all the way to either side from either side. This is what I should have said. And then Boundless Mutations. This is again for the Arcanites. At the start of your hero phase, if this general is on the battlefield, you can roll a dice. If you do so, on a 2+, you can heal D3 wounds allocated to the general. Going to be handy if you're taking like a big monster general and you want them to get their wound back. There's no downside if you roll a 1. Cult Demagogue. If a casting roll for this general is a double, the casting attempt's automatically successful. In addition, if the spell is not unbound, you receive 2 fate points instead of 1. So, it's pretty cool. And again, these are Arcanites. Sorry, and the healing one, actually, you can't give it to Doom. What am I talking about? You don't get Boundless Mutation because it's only for the Arcanites. I don't know why I said that. I'm just stupid. And then Arcane Sacrifice. At the start of your hero phase, you can inflict 1 mortal wound on a friendly Tzeentch unit within 3 inches of the general. If you do so, until the end of that phase, add 9 inches to the range of any successfully cast spell. Any spell successfully cast by this general. It's a tongue twister. And you just do a wound to do it, basically, because you're going to do a blood sacrifice. So that healing on, actually, that's still pretty cool, because you have a lot of low wound. Arcanite heroes don't have a lot of wounds, typically. I think the Ogroid Thaumaturge might be Arcanite, though. Let me just see. Mr. Thaumaturge, are you an Arcanite? Because if you are, that's pretty good. Magister's Voltemus is. He's only got 5 wounds. Ogre Thaumaturge is an Arcanite. Yeah, so you could get his wounds back. Actually, that'd be pretty cool. Because he's pretty punchy. He's 8 wounds, 5 up save. And he's a pretty good caster too. I think he's got 1 and 1. Yeah, 1 and 1. And then the Tzeentch Mortals. So you have Nexus of Fate and then Soulburn. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made by a melee weapon is a 6, you inflict a mortal wound, additional normal damage. And Illusionist. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target this general. That one's a good one. Tzeentch Demons. They've got Arch Sorcerer, Nexus of Fate, and Magical Supremacy. And then also Demon Spark. Once per battle in your hero phase, you can say that you'll use the Demon Spark. If you do so, you get 3 fate points automatically. That's neat. I mean, if you just need to push over the edge. Incorporeal Form. Each time a general is affected by a spell or endless spell, roll a die on a 5+. You just ignore the effects in the general. And then Aether Tether. Add 1 to save rolls for attacks target general. That's the one you're taking every time. Handing a +1 save in this game is just so, like... It outclasses everything else. You know, like, I don't mind ignore a point of rend, because then it's not just an all the time, but adding out save is so powerful. I don't know. It's just, it's really good. It's only for your general, and it's if you're taking a big general, but, like, why would you not take a Greater Demon with that? Artifacts Power. Alright, so again, Tzeentch Mortals, Arcanites, Demon Heroes, and then Tzeentch Demon Heroes. They can all... Oh, sorry, weapons and powers. There's 2 different ones, weapons and powers. So these are all artifacts, these are weapons, these are powers. And this is for mortals, this is for arcanites, this is for demons and demons. So for the mortals, you can take a Wicked Shard. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons, you can reroll wound rolls. Change Blade, pick one of the bearer's melee weapons each time an enemy hero is slain by attacks made with that weapon. After all the bearer's attacks have been resolved, and before removing the slain model, add a spawn within 1 inch of the hero. You can mix... You're going to buy a lot of spawns in this army, because there is so much stuff to make spawns. It's ridiculous. Nexus Staff, once per battle in your hero phase, you can pick an endless spell within 9. If you do so, it's dispelled. Just go whoosh, vacuum it up. The Time Slip Pendant, once per battle at the end of the combat phase, you can say the bearer will enter a time slip. If you do so, the bearer can fight for a 2nd time. Oh, if only you give that one to Demon. Demon Heart, once per battle at the start of the combat phase, before the players pick any units to fight, you can say the bearer will unleash the power of the Demon Heart. If you do so, pick an enemy unit within 1 inch. That unit suffers 3 mortal wounds. And the Paradoxical Shield, add 2 to the save rolls for attacks that target the bearer. However, you must reroll any successful save rolls made for the bearer. So, you're +2 save, but you have to reroll the successes. So, that's pretty good. I mean, it's for Tzeentch Mortals, so when you start inducting mortal stuff into this army, because remember, the stuff that's in here is only the whatchamacallit, the Tzeentch Demon stuff for the most part. If you've got the Tzeentch Allegiance, like if all of your units have Tzeentch, then you get to use this stuff, and that's pretty good. If you have the Tzeentch keywords. So, like, I'm just trying to think of what stuff from, like, the Slaves Darkness army you could put in there and take mortals. The Treasure of the Cults, so the Arcanite heroes. Ambition's End. Once per battle, at the start of your hero phase, you can pick one enemy wizard within 1 inch of the bearer. That wizard suffers D3 mortal wounds. In addition, that wizard cannot attempt to unbind any spells until your next hero phase. The Secret Eater. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack is a 6, you can add roll a die and add it to your Destiny dice. I actually really like that, because Destiny dice are so useful for getting off, you know, clutch charges or that roll you really need. Being able to, like, if there's a high attack model with the Secret Eater, I think I would probably take it. It's the Arcanites only, so, like, we're talking maybe the Thaumaturge. Who else give it to? The Thaumaturge, the Magister could have it. Yeah, he could have it. He's got a not really high number of attacks. The Curseling could have it. No, because he's a special character, isn't he? Is he unique? Is the Curseling unique? I can't remember. He should be. I'm pretty sure he is. Leader... No, he's not. Weird. Weird. I guess he's not the Curseling from before that. It's just a Curseling Eye of Tzeentch, so he's not unique, so you could give it to him. Interesting. And he has a gajillion attacks, so... You give him the Blazing Sword, maybe. Make that one the one that if you roll 6, get a fate dice. And then who else could do it? You can't give it to the... I guess you could technically make his Cloven Hooves have it. Because he's not a mount, it's just his feet. His feet are magic and can see the future. Why not? It's the highest number of attacks you can give an Arcanite, it looks like. Yep. Why not? So you have the secret-eating hooves of the Ogre Thaumaturge. And then a Spiteful Shield, if the unmodified save roll for attack made with a melee weapon that targets the bearer is a 6, the attacking unit suffers 2 mortal wounds after all the attacks have been resolved. And then your demon heroes can have weapons, a warp fire blade, sorry. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. If the unmodified hit rolls a 6, it inflicts 2 mortal wounds in addition to normal damage. That one's kind of cool. Again, warp fire blade, what do we got for number of attacks on a greater demon? Well, the change can have 4 attacks on the Staff of Tzeentch, so you might as well make that the Balefire Blade. Actually, you could do it the Talons even. Make it on the Talons, because then your stats stay the same. Because his 2 wound is amazing on the Staff of Tzeentch, but it gets worse, whereas that one would at least be consistent. Sentient weapons. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a melee weapon is a 6, and the target bears an artifact of power, the target no longer bears that artifact. You break their magic stuff. Blade of Fate. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. Once per battle, the unmodified hit roll is a 6. Replace one of your Destiny dice with that roll. So you just gain 6s. That one's pretty good too. Soul Eater. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. If any enemy heroes are slain by attacks made with that weapon after their bearer's attacks have been resolved, add one of the weapon's attack characteristic for the rest of the battle. So you just get more attacks when you kill people. But heroes only. Phantasmal weapons. +1 rend. Pyrofire Stave. Pick a melee weapon if any of the wounds allocated to a wizard and that model's not slain, they cannot unbind spells for the rest of the battle. You basically make them forget how to stop magic. You make them stupid. Then your demon powers. The Aura of Mutability. Add one of the wound rolls for attacks made by friendly demon units within 9 of the bearer. That's kind of cool. Wellspring of Arcane Might. Reroll casting and unbinding rolls for the bearer. It's pretty popular too. I mean, he can cast 2 unbind 2. Kairos can't have it because he's a unique character, but still pretty cool. And the Aspect of Tzeentch. If the bear's on the battlefield, roll a dice. Each time you spend a Destiny dice on a 5+, you can roll a die and add to your Destiny dice pool. That's pretty great. It's a recycling command points for Destiny dice. I'd take that one. Spell lores, the Lore of Fate. So this is your Tzeentch Arcanite Wizards and Mortal Wizards, and then the other one's for Demon Wizards, the Lore of Fate, Lore of Change rather. So for the Lore of Fate, Bolt of Tzeentch, cast on a 7, pick an enemy unit with an 18 invisible. They take d6 mortal wounds. That's pretty hot. The spell cannot be cast more than once per turn, even though it appears in both these lores. They're still the same. Arcane Suggestion has a casting value of 8. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit with an 18 invisible and pick one of the following effects. It's hopeless. They take d3 mortal wounds. Drop your weapons, -1 hit, and wound rolls. Oh, it's so good. Kneel, -1 save until your next hero phase. Wow. So potentially 2 rounds of -1 to hit and wound and -1 save. Arcane Suggestion is rad. It's why it's 8 to cast. But again, Fate dice. Glimpse the Future has a cast of 7. If you cast it, roll a die and add to your Destiny dice pool. So you can basically buy Destiny dice for a 7+. And you've got so many wizards that you'll be able to wear out all the dispels before you do it. And again, if you really need to, you can use your Destiny dice that exist to get another one basically. Or even just a slightly better one. Shield of Fate has a cast of 6. If cast, pick a friendly Tzeentch unit wholly within 18 of the caster, invisible to them. Till the start of your next hero phase, that unit gains one of the following effects based on the number of your remaining Destiny dice. So if you have 1 to 3 dice left, you can reroll save rolls of 1. 4 to 6, reroll save rolls, and 7 to 9, you can reroll a dice each time that unit's affected by a spell or the spell. On a 4+, ignore its effects. In addition, reroll save rolls. So that's pretty cool. It's only on a 6/2, and it's based on your dice pool, so again, a good way to hulk out a big character like a Lord of Change. Put a Shield of Fate on him. Infusion Arcanum, cast on a 5. If cast, add 1 to hit and wound rolls for attacks made by the caster until your next hero phase. Hey, look, I can hulk out a Lord of Change. There's so much stuff here to basically make a Lord of Change unstoppable. It's kind of silly. Treacherous Bond. Treacherous Bond, cast on a 5. If cast, pick a friendly Tzeentch mortal unit wholly within 9. Sorry, actually, you can't do it because that's a mortal. That's on caster. Yeah, it's on caster. So no adding 1 to hit and wound rolls for the big guy. I just noticed that because I just realized that this is Arcanites and Mortals. So you can't do it because it's on yourself, not on somebody else. You could obviously do Shield of Fate on anybody, but Infusion Arcanum is only on you. And then Treacherous Bond, cast on a 5. If cast, pick a friendly Tzeentch mortal unit wholly within 9 of the caster, invisible. Until your next hero phase, roll a die. Before you allocate any wounds or mortal wounds to them, on a 3+, you must allocate them to that friendly unit instead. So it just you shove off wounds onto somebody else. Take that, my giant horde of endless horrors. And then Lord of Tzeentch, or sorry, Lord of Change rather, for the Demon Wizards. You get the Bolt of Tzeentch, which is the same. Treason of Tzeentch. Cast on a 5. If cast, pick an enemy unit with an 18 invisible. Roll a number of dice equal to the number of models in that unit. For a 6, take a mortal wound. If any models are slain, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by that unit until the next hero phase. So it kind of doubles down on suggestion and also being an offensive spell, which is pretty cool. Arcane Transformation. Cast on a 6. If cast, pick a friendly Tzeentch hero, wholly with an 18. And visible. To your next hero phase, you can either add one of their move and bravery or add one of their attack characteristic of one of their melee weapons. That's not great. That's an okay spell. Move and bravery is, for demons, throw out bravery 10 anyway, but buying one attack for a spell, well, I don't know if that's worth it. It's okay. If it was all your weapons, I'd say it's cool. Unchecked Mutation, cast on a 6. If cast, pick an enemy unit with an 18 invisible. They take D3 mortal wounds. If many models were slain, roll a die on a 3+. That unit suffers an additional D3 mortal wounds and the spell ends. So it's kind of a less good Bolt of Tzeentch. I mean, you can do both, which is kind of cool. Fold Reality, cast on a 7. If cast, pick a friendly Tzeentch demon unit wholly with an 18 in the caster, invisible. Roll a die. On a 1, the unit is destroyed. On a 2+, you can return a number of slain models equal to that roll to that unit. Set up the models one at a time within 1 inch of a model from that unit that's not been returned in the phase. The model cannot only be set up within 3 inches of an enemy unit if they're already within 3 inches. So Fold Reality is cool, but remember there is no way to use Destiny Dice on that because it's not one of the named things you can exchange it with. And if you roll that 1, you just kill the unit. But if it's a 2+, you add that many models back in. I'd say that's worth it actually for maybe like your Enlightened. If you take like a six person unit of Enlightened and they're down to like 1 or 2 models. If you lose that lost model, big deal. But if you bring back 2 to 5 to 6 of them, that's pretty great too. Yeah, that's a big risk reward one. But I think if you time it right, where like you're down to a single model anyway, it could be pretty awesome. And then Firestorm, cast on a 9. If cast, pick an enemy unit with an 18 invisible, and roll 9 dice. For every 6, they take D3 mortal wounds. And that one could be baller. I bet it could also just be total garbage. You'll probably get D3, but your chances of getting more than D3 are low. Alright, let's look at some hosts. And there's 6 of them. So the Eternal Conflagration. Abilities, if you pick this one, you improve the rend of the Warp Flame, Billowing Warp Flame, and Magical Flames missile weapons by 1. So better rend, it's cool. Command ability, Infernos of Mutation. Use it in the shooting phase. If you do so, pick a friendly Eternal Conflagration demon unit, wholly within 12 of a hero of the same type. If, not of the same type, but the same keywords. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with their Warp Flame, Billowing Warp Flame, or Magical Flames missile weapons is 6, subtract 2 from the Bravery characteristic of the target until the end of the battle round. A unit cannot benefit from this more than once per turn. Pretty cool if you're going to just nuke something with Warp Flames. It does make your shooting for your horrors, if you have a big unit of horrors, pretty scary, but 10 horrors is 200 points. So you're not going to have huge units of horrors, because they divide down over and over again. Command trait, you got to take this one if you have a general. Well, you have to have a general, so you have to take this one. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made with missile weapons to target Eternal Conflagration demon units wholly within 12 of the general, because you're just shooting fire everywhere. And your artifact, the first hero to be given an artifact must be given the Shroud of Warp Flame. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound. Inflicted by a melee weapon on the bearer. On a 3+, the attacking unit suffers a mortal wound. So it doesn't shrug it, but it pushes it back on the opponent too. The Host Duplicitous. Ranks of Mysterious Mirages. Enemy within 3 inches of their units cannot retreat. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. That's like janky cool though, because like imagine you throw in something that's like a single model and really tough, like on the edge of a unit, and they have to take forever to pound towards you and they can't retreat. Oh, that could be really good. They have Impossible to Anticipate as a command ability. You can use this command ability only once per battle, immediately after a friendly Host Duplicitous Horrors of Tzeentch unit is destroyed. If you do so, roll a die on a 5+, a new identical unit that was to the one that was destroyed is set up within 12 inches of any friendly host of duplicitous heroes, and more than 9 from the enemy. You just show up again. So it's a 5+, and again, there's no way to cheat it with Fate Dice because it's not on the list. So I don't know. I mean, it could be clutch, it could be not great. And then your general must have this command trait, Will of the Phantom Lord. Reroll casting and binding rolls for host duplicitous demon wizards while they're within 9 of the general. Artifact of Power. Your first hero has to be given the brand of the split demon. Add 1 to save rolls for attacks target the bearer. So again, +1 save to someone with artifact. Could be your giant Lord of Change. Because it's just a hero. It's pretty good. I don't know. If you're taking horrors and demon lords, that one seems pretty great. The Host Arcanum, Thieves of all things arcane. Once per turn in the 1st, 3rd, and 5th battle rounds, when a friendly Host Arcanum wizard attempts to unbind a spell, it's automatically unbound. I mean, that's kind of random, but still pretty cool. Their command ability is Entourage of Sky Sharks. You can use this command ability in your hero phase. If you do so, pick a friendly Host Arcanum Screamers as each unit wholly within 12 of a friendly Host Arcanum hero. Until your next hero phase, add 1 to save rolls for attacks to target that unit. In addition, until your next hero phase, improve the rend characteristic of Lamprey Bite by 1. And you cannot benefit from the effect of this more than once per turn. So your hero gets +1 save if they're within 12 of, you know, some Screamers. Blech. Spellhunters, after armies have been set up before the first battle round begins, D3 friendly Host Arcanum units can make a fly move up to 6. So they can fly, make a move up to 6. And then Artifact of Power, the Fanged Circlet, once per battle at the start of your hero phase, you can add 1 unit of 6 Screamers as each to your army. So you get a free 6-person unit of Screamers. Just for taking this. Set them up wholly within 9 of the bear and more than 9 for the enemy. So the Host Arcanum just comes with, how many points do you? Screamers. It comes with 160 points of extra models. Because why not? I mean, they're not great models, but they're still pretty good. The Cult of the Transient Form. Roll a dice each time a Cult of the Transient Form Carrick Acolyte model is slain in the combat phase. On a 2/5, before removing them, they can fight. On a 6, before removing them from play, you can add a Zangor model to an existing Zangor unit in your army. If you do that, set up the Zangor model within 1 inch of the Zangor unit and more than 9 from the slain model. Sorry, that's within 9 of the slain model. The model can only be set up within 3 inches of enemy units if the friendly Zangor model unit was already within 3. So on a 2/5, they fight again. On a 6, they mutate into a Zangor. But you have to already have a Zangor unit in your army near them to make it work. So I guess you're like doubling down on taking Acolytes and Zangors in this army. It's neat, I guess. Command ability, Fate of Transmutation. You can use this command ability in your hero phase. If you do so, pick a Cult of the Transient Form Carrick Acolyte unit wholly within 12 of a friendly same type hero. Until your next hero phase, each time a Carrick Acolyte model for that unit slain, add 1 to the dice roll for the unit's change gift ability. So yeah, now it's on a 5+, they turn into Zangors, and automatically they fight. Because 1 to the dice roll. Command trait. Cult of the Transient Form General must have this. A Defiant in their pursuit. Add 2 the bravery characteristic of friendly Cult of the Transient Form units wholly within 12 of the General, because he's just so inspiring with the fact that he's gonna go and steal all the magics. And then the Artifact of Power, the first Transient Form hero gets this +1 wound. Last 2, the Pyrophane Cult. I was gonna say Profane Cult. Slaanesh should have a Profane Cult. That should be a thing. Add 1 hit rolls for attacks made with Sorcerous Bolts by friendly Pyrophane Cult Carrick Acolyte units. In addition, at the end of your shooting phase, roll a die for each enemy unit that suffered any wounds made by the Sorcerous Bolts by friendly Pyrophane units in that phase. On a 5+, they take these mortal wounds because it just keeps burning. So your bolts, if they do damage, do mortal wounds at the end of the round. Or end of the phase, sorry. Command ability is Immolate. You can use this command ability in your shooting phase. If you do so, pick a friendly Pyrophane Cult Carrick Acolyte unit wholly within 12 of a friendly Pyrophane Cult hero. You can reroll wound rolls for attacks made by that unit until the end of the phase. Your command trait, your Cult General must have this one. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made with missile weapons to target you because you're just surrounded by fire. And your Artifact of Power is the Chain Fire Amulet. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a missile weapon in the bearer is a 6, attack inflicts D3 mortal wounds on the target and the attack sequence ends. Do not make a wound or save roll. So you're basically your shooting flames makes mortal wounds on 6 to hit. That's kind of cool because it's at range. The Guild of Summoners. If your army has a Guild of Summoners keyword, your fate points can only be used to summon Lord of Change units. What? Instead of fate points cost of 30, a Guild of Summoners Lord of Change costs 9 fate points to summon the first time, 18 the second time, and 30 the third time for the rest of the battle. So that's kind of insane. You can summon... So basically, to summon 3 Lords of Change in any other Tzeentch army, you'd have to spend 90 points. To summon 3 in this army, it's going to cost you 57. Yeah. You can't summon any other units, but if you just want to have a huge bunch of bird boys running around the table, you can do it. I don't know about this one. That's pretty bananas. People like skewing big monsters in this game, and that seems like a really good way to skew big monsters. Your command ability, Will of the Arcane Lords. You can use this command ability in your hero phase. If you do so, pick a friendly Guild of Summoners Wizard, wholly within 9 of a friendly Guild of Summoners hero, or wholly within 18 of the general. Add 1 to casting rolls for that wizard until the end of the phase. You can't benefit from it more than once. So, that was pretty good. Command trait, Guild of Summoners General must have this. Prophet of the Ostensible. If this general is part of your army and on the battlefield at the start of your hero phase, roll a die, and a 4+, get a command point. And the Artifact of Power, the Brimstone Familiar. Don't make battle shock tests for friendly Guild of Summoner units wholly within 12 of the bearer. That's pretty great too. So again, you're not being able to take all these artifacts that you'd want to like cherry pick out to make your Lords of Change amazing, but you could have a lot of Lords of Change. The Concealed Cultists, your battle plan. Ooh, some people doing some stuff. And then you get your Path to Glory and your War Scrolls. Man, there are so many War Scroll battalions in this. It's bananas. There's basically 2 sets. One for the demons, one for the Arcanites. And yeah, they are not going to be popular. There are a lot of points, and I don't see them. There's a couple that might have neat benefits, but I would say that these are not. I don't know if they're worth the points that you'd pay. So for your Fate Legion, you need an Overseer's Fate Twisters War Scroll Battalion, and 8 War Scroll Battalions in any combination. Warp Flame Host, Multitudinous Host, Aether Eater Host, and Change Host. And you start the battle with 9 Fate points. So, yeah, take a Fate Legion, take that one where you can summon greater demons, and you get a free Lord of Change. And so now you've got 6 different War Scroll Battalions for the demons. The Warp Flame Host, it's a unit of Exalted Flamers of Tzeentch. 3 to 8 units in any combination. We're talking about a lot of units, plus the cost of the host. So yeah, 1 unit of Exalted Flamers, 3 to 8, Exalted Flamers, Flamers, or Burning Chariots. At the end of the charge phase, roll a die for each enemy within 9 of a friendly unit from this battalion. On a 6, take D3 mortal wounds. I don't know if the effect is worth that one. The Multitudinous Host, 1 Changecaster, Herald of Tzeentch, and 8 units of Horrors. Now remember, Horrors are 200 points for the pink ones. So that's 1,600 points. That's 1,700 points for the Multitudinous Host, plus whatever they cost, which is 160. That's your whole army, basically, if you're taking pink horrors. Now, that's a skew that no one would love, but that's a lot of pink horrors. Because you gotta think that that's 80 horrors that turn into 160 blue horrors that turn into a bunch more, I guess 160 of the Emberlings or whatever they're called. It's a lot of models. I don't want to paint that many models. I don't want to paint the 400 models for like a skew. The Aether Eater Host, 1 Fate Skimmer, and 3 to 8 units in any combination of the Blue Scribes, Fate Skimmer, Flux Master, and Screamers. This one you might take because they're not that expensive model-wise. It's only 3 to 8, so you can have 4 models and use this one. Ability is Defeat on Magic. If a friendly unit from this battalion successfully unbinds a spell in the enemy hero phase, you immediately heal D3 wounds allocated to that unit. In addition, 1 friendly Screamer of each unit in the battalion can attempt to unbind a spell in each enemy hero phase. So, I mean, it's... Aether Battalion is going to cost you... so the Aether Eater one host, 140. You could do it. It's neat. I mean, it's just a heal, but it's not really models you are super worried about healing anyway. The Blue Scribes are pretty cool. So is a Fate Skimmer. And then just take some Screamers on top of it. So you could take 180 in Screamers. I think a Fate Skimmer is like 200. A Fate Skimmer is. The Scribes are 120. So we're talking about 300 plus the Fate Skimmer. So 440 plus the Aether Host, which is 140. 580 to get that in there. And they can feed on magic and heal some wounds. The Change Host, it's a Lord of Change, and then 8 units of any of the following Horror Heroes: Exalted Flamers, Horrors of Tzeentch, Flamers of Tzeentch, Screamers of Tzeentch, and Burning Chariots of Tzeentch. Now, Horrors of Tzeentch covers all the types too, because you can buy them in lower amounts. And then your ability is the Deceive and Dismay. At the start of your hero phase, the Lord of Change from this battalion is your general on the battlefield. Pick 2 other friendly units from this battalion, and remove them from the battlefield. If you do so, set up anywhere on the table more than 9 from enemy units. And they can't move in the following movement phase. So that's cool, you just bamf around. I mean... Again, I don't know if it's worth it. The Overseer's Fate Twisters, 1 Lord of Change, 8 units of any of the following Horror Heroes, Exalted Flamers, and Burning Chariots. At the start of your hero phase, if 1 or more friendly units from this battalion is on the battlefield, you can roll a die and add it to your Destiny dice. In addition, at the start of your hero phase, the Lord of Change from this battalion is on the battlefield, you can reroll 1 of your Destiny dice. It's kind of cool. And then the Omniscient Oracles. It's Kairos and 3 Lords of Change. This one you might take. You can reroll hit, wound, and save rolls of 1 for friendly units from this battalion. Now, it's a lot of points. It's, what is it? The Omniscient Oracles, they cost 160 for the battalion. And then it's, remember, you've got no battle line yet. 160, Lord of Change is 380, so you need 900 plus 240, 1140. So that's 1300, and then Chaos is 400. So it's 1700 points of just Greater Demons, and then you can take 3 units of Pink Horrors, sorry, 3 units of Blue Horrors, and that'd be your battle line, and that'd be it. So you'd have 4 Greater Demons and 30 Horrors that could turn into, Brimstone Horrors. I mean, that's an army for sure. And you can reroll hit, wound, and save rolls of 1 for friendly units from this battalion. So everybody that's a hero, the big guy, is rolling all their 1s. That could be pretty cool. And you're getting an extra, whatchamacallit out of it? You're getting an extra, the artifact. That's what I'm looking for. That's the word I can't say. The Arcanite Cult. So this is all the Arcanite ones. Again, you need 9 battalions, so it's a Cabal War Scroll battalion, and then 8 of any of the other ones. And you get Destiny Preordained. If your army includes this battalion, instead of rolling 9 dice for the Masters of Destiny battle trait, you can choose the value of 6 of them and roll the remaining 3. So you get 6 6s, and then 3 dice you have to roll. The Arcanite Cabal, 3 9 models in any combination. Chosen from the following list: Fate Masters, Magisters, and Zangor Shamans. This one you might actually take. After the army's been set up before the first battle round begins, pick 1 friendly model from this battalion for the rest of the battle. Each time you spend a Destiny die to replace a dice roll for that model, roll a die on a 2+. You can replace one of your remaining Destiny dice with that roll. That's gonna be really popular. The Arcanite Cabal is gonna cost you 140, and the cheapest you can do it with Magisters, Zangor Shamans, and Fate Masters. So 140. And its Arcanists are... So Fate Masters are 120. The Magisters are 100. And the Zangor Shaman is 150. So for 100, so 300, 440, basically you're recycling some of your Destiny dice for their casting. 2+ replaced with that roll. Yeah. After the armies have been set up before the first battle round begins, pick 1 friendly model from this battalion. For the rest of the battle, each time you spend Destiny dice, replace dice for that model, roll a die, 2+, replace with Destiny dice. So one of the casters in there basically is going to be recycling Destiny dice. Yeah, it's not all your Destiny dice. Yeah, I'm rethinking it now. It's okay. It's pretty good. And then your Ultrakin Coven. It's Carrick Acolytes, Zangors, and Skyfires, 1 of each. You get the Boon of Mutation. Enemies, at the end of the charge phase, roll dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of a friendly unit from this battalion. On a 6, take D3 mortal wounds. If any models are slain with this ability, before removing them, you can add a Zangor model to the existing Zangor unit in your army. If you do so, set them up more than 1 from friendly Zangor units. That's within 9 of the slain model. Within 1 inch of the friendly unit within 9 of the slain model. The model can only be set up within 3 of the enemy if the Zangor is within 3. So there's only 1 Zangor unit. Actually, it could be any of them. And same with the Zangor tag, actually, because it's bolded, so the Skyfires actually could come back too. That's pretty cool. And again, that one's not that expensive. I think Skyfires are 200. Zangors, Acolytes, and Skyfires, and then the Ultrakin Coven costs 140. So Skyfires are 200. Zangors are... Just Zangors, where are you? Horrors of Tzeentch, Carrick Acolytes, Zangors, 180. So 180 for 10, so if we're talking about 320 plus 200 is 520, and then you need a still unit of Acolytes, 520 plus 100, so 620. 620, you got a battalion, and they can, your Zangors can come back. It's pretty cool. The Witchfire Coven, 3 units of Carrick Acolytes and 1 unit of Zangor Enlightened. Once per turn in your hero phase, pick a friendly Carrick Acolyte in the battalion, and that unit can shoot. So 3 unit Carrick Acolytes that can shoot in the hero phase. If they were better at shooting, I'd say that was cool. The Sky Shoal Coven, 2 units of Zangor Enlightened on Disciples of Tzeentch, and 2 units of Zangor Skyfires. That's an 8, oh Jesus, that's 400 plus the discs. Yeah, it's a 760 point unit, plus the Sky Shoal Coven cost, which is 140, so 760 is a 900 point unit. Diving from the skies, after a friendly unit from this battalion has made a normal move, you can pick an enemy unit that has any models passed across by these models, and roll that 2+, take D3 mortal wounds. So you fly over people and do mortal wounds. That's kind of cool. And again, you get a relic. or artifact rather. And your Zangor Coven, 2 units of Zangors, 2 units of Enlightened, and 2 units of Skyfires. At the start of your hero phase, pick a friendly unit from this battalion. It's within 3 inches of the enemy unit. They can shoot or fight. That one is pretty cool. It has to be people in melee, so the Skyfires can only do if they're engaged, but the Enlighteneds can fight. And so in your hero phase, one of those units can fight, so you take a big fat unit of Zangor Enlightened. Now, they're not, that's going to be an expensive unit. And the Enlightened are not battle line. So you're looking somewhere else for your battle line. But that's still pretty cool. And then we're into units. So I've gone through again, if you've watched my my Caradron Overlords review, what I've started doing is going through and just trying to pick out any changes if the books aren't huge. Like, I was never going to do that for the whatchamacallit, the Cities of Sigmar, because there was like 90 War Scrolls in there. But with the Caradron Overlords in this one, it wasn't so bad, so I was able to go through and just skim all the changes. That's all I'm going to review right now. So for Lord Change, he's got a rend on his Rod of Sorcery, which is kind of neat, and then his Staff of Tzeentch got a bonus to its wound roll. His move went up to 12 at Unwounded, and his Staff of Tzeentch, it got better at the beginning, so it's a 1+ to wound, 2+ to wound. 1+, they still fail on 1s, so it just means, I guess, you can ignore a modifier to wound rolls. At the bottom, it got worse, though. It used to be 4+ at the worst, now it's a 5+. Infernal Gateway gained 1, it got a 4+ down here. Spell Eater's new. Once per turn in your hero phase, you can pick an endless spell with an 18, and it's just dispelled, just automatically, because, I mean, they needed something from those spells. They weren't referenced in the old book because they didn't exist then. And that's really all that's changed. Chaos Weaver, again, his Staff of Tomorrow gained an attack and a bonus to hit. It also got the same changes that the Lord Change one has. It's a 1+ at the top and then a 5+ at the bottom now. And he gained a move at every level. So he's 12, 10, 9, 8, 7 on his move stats. His Gift of Change is now flat 6 and flat 3 when he's healthy and unwounded, and when he's at 7 to 9 wounds. So it's a bit better for his Gift of Change spell. And the spell's basically the same otherwise. And he can cast 3, dispel 3 now. Again, Oracle of Eternity has a list of what it can be used on now, just exactly the same as your Destiny dice. And Spell Eater is the same as on the Lord Change. The Gaunt Summoner, his Warp Tongue Blade changed, so now it's, if an unmodified wound roll for an attack made with a Warp Tongue Blade is a 6, it does d6 mortal wounds and the attack sequence ends. So it's different from how it was, and it added Furies to the Profane Book of Secrets, and it no longer requires a Realm Gate to be on the table, so you can just bring him in with a 9 to this caster. Infernal Flames is now a 7 to cast, but its range went down to 12, and it's a 5+ for the mortal wounds. The Fate Skimmer on the Burning Chariot, he's got a 16-inch move now, and his Magical Flames are new. He's got an 18-inch range, 3s and 4s, 4s, -1, and 1 damage. I think that was new. I couldn't find it in the old War Scroll, but I could be tired. I thought he could shoot before, but I couldn't find it in the War Scroll when I was looking. And his Arcane Tome's a little bit worse. It's not 3d6 to cast once per battle now. It's 3d6 pick the highest. So remove the dice of your choice is what it says. And then Wake of Fire is now on a 2+, and Tzeentch's Firestorm cast on an 8 is a bit easier, but they models have to be visible. And on a 3+, they take 3 mortal wounds instead of on a, I think it's a 4+ before. The Flux Master, he has 6 wounds now because he's on his disc, which is kind of cool because before he, for some reason, didn't get any extra wounds from his disc. But usually when you're mounted in Age of Sigmar, you get a bonus wound just to represent the mount. His Magical Flames went to 3. He's got the same Arcane Tome problem where you discard a die now. And then his Blue Fire Tzeentch went down to a 5+ to cast. And then for a 6, that unit suffers mortal wound when you roll those 9 dice. That's a change. The Changeling, he lost Formless Horror. It's just gone. That just doesn't exist anymore, so you can't not target him. That whole gimmick of like you can't basically do anything to him until he shoots, fights, or casts a spell is just gone. It doesn't exist anymore. His weapon went up to 3 attacks at 3+, and then his Arch Deceiver rule is a bit worse. At the start of the first battle round, after armies have been set up before the first turn begins, you can remove this model from the battlefield. If you do so, at the end of your first movement phase, you must set them up, again, anywhere within your opponent's territory, more than 3 from enemy units. So, he just bamps in the first battle round into the enemy territory. In certain missions, like the Arcane Places of Power one, where you're trying to get a wizard nearby, that's pretty cool. That could actually be really handy, but he doesn't have the gimmick that he used to have anymore. It's just gone. I mean, it was a confusing gimmick, and the rules were kind of silly for it, so I'm not super surprised that it's gone, but if you liked the Changeling, he really doesn't work the way he used to. The Changecaster, just the Herald on foot. I like him with the moon face. He's a great miniature. His Magical Flames got an attack, and then again his Arcane Tome changed to drop a die. The Blue Scribes, their Teeth and Horns, 2 wounds to 3+ now with a -1 rend. And the Scrolls of Sorcery, you cannot unbound that spell anymore. There's no like prerequisite for unbinding it. It's just you roll a die on a 2+, it's cast and can't be unbound, which is pretty cool. Because I think before it was on a 9+, it couldn't be unbound. Now it's just, nope, sorry. Screamers of Tzeentch, they just got their bonus to hit for the slash now. It's on a 5+ instead of a 6, and if it's a wizard, it does D3 mortal wounds instead of 1, which is kind of cool for each one that hits. Burning Chariots, got a run in their Billowing Warp Flame. The Capricious Warp Flame changed quite a bit. It's add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with this unit if the target has 10 or more models, and add 2 if it's 20 or more. They've got Touched by Fire now as a skill. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to this unit that was inflicted by a melee weapon on a 5+ to take a mortal wound because it hurts to touch them. And Wake of Fire is on a 2+ now instead of I think it was a 3 before to do D3 mortal wounds. Your Exalted Flamers, the Capricious Warp Flame is the same as the previous one, so it's just changed to +1 and +2 to hit if you have 10 or 20 models. You got a run on your Billowing Warp Flame, and Touched by Fire is the same as the other one. You bounce back melee wounds on a 5+ as a mortal wound. Flamers, same thing, Capricious Warp Flame and Touched by Fire, and Guided by Billowing Flames is new. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this unit's Warp Flame, while it's wholly within 9 inches of any Exalted Flamers. That's pretty nice. The Exalted ones lead it. Horrors, okay, so Horrors all only have a 6+ save now. This is universal, and Horrors of Tzeentch, this one War Scroll incorporates all the Horrors, pink, blue, and brimstone. And so what you have now is the attacks characteristics are different based on who they are, but their stats are identical. They're 5-inch move, 1 wound, 6+ save, and bravery 10, no matter who they are. Their Magical Flames range went down to 12 for everybody, and it's a 5+ to hit now, so they've gotten a little bit worse. And the number of attacks go up. So pink has 3 attacks, blue has 2 attacks, brimstone has 1, and their taloned hands have 1, 1, and 2 because the brimstone's turned into 2 and they fight identically. They can be of any number of them. 1 pink horror model in this unit can be an iridescent horror. Add 1 of the attack characteristics of the iridescent one, so that's the unit leader. You have an icon bearer, works the same as before. Everything else basically works the same as before. It's just that they're all 1 war scroll and you pay different points depending upon how many they are. Magister on Disciples of Tzeentch, this is the new guy. So he's got a 16-inch move, 6 wounds, 5+ save, and a bravery of 7. His Tzeentchian Rune Staff is 18-inch range, 1 attack, 3+4+, D3 damage. His Warp Steel Sword is 1 attack at 1-inch range, 4+4+, 1 damage. He's really not a fighter. And the Teeth and Horns in the disc are D3 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1 D3 damage. He's Magic Touched. If the casting roll for this model is a double, and the casting attempt is successful and not unbound, they can cast an extra spell. If it does, and the extra casting roll is also a double, the spell automatically fails and he dies! Now, you can use Fate Dice to ignore that, which is pretty cool, but I just think it's funny that, like, he gets this cool gimmick, and then if he does it again, Tzeentch is like, no, and just, like, snaps him out of existence. Friendly Magister is slain by this effect. Roll a die before moving the model. On 2+, you can set up a spawn. Anywhere in the battlefield within 1 should the slain Magister and more than 3 from the enemy. So he turns into a spawn if he does double doubles. And he's a whiz. He can cast a single spell and unbind a single spell. He knows Bolt to Change. Cast on a 7. If cast, pick an enemy unit within 18 invisible. It's for his D3 mortal wounds. If anyone was slain, you summon a spawn within 3 of the slain model's unit. So he just turns into a spawn already engaging them. The Magister is the same Magic Touch rules. That's really all that's different. And the Curseling. Now, he's changed quite a bit. His Disruptor of the Arcane. You can reroll Unbinding and Dispelling rolls for this model. And then his Glean Magic is on a 3+. They know the spell for the rest of the battle instead of, I think it was a 4+ before. Eyes of the Nine, Vortimus, Fate Master, and the Ogre Thaumaturge all seemed the same. I might have missed something in there, though. The Character Acolyte's got a 5+ save now, and the Sorcerer's Bolt's on an 18-inch range, 4s and 3s, 1 damage with no rend. And the Cursed Glaive got a 3+ to wound, as did the Cursed Blades, and a damage of 2, which is pretty nice. So before it was just a rend, I think, now it's actually damage 2. Character Adept is getting an extra attack with their melee weapons, and a Scroll of the Dark Arts. 1 in every 10 models can carry a Scroll of the Dark Arts. You get to add 1 to the casting and unbinding rolls for that unit. And then Volcark, and 1 in every 10 can be a Volcark. If the enemy wizard successfully casts a spell within 18 of a friendly unit that includes any Volcarks, roll a die, and a 4+ take a mortal wound. Arcanite Shields, when you allocate wounds or mortal wounds to this unit, you must allocate them to the model with the Arcanite Shield if possible. So they get a 6+ wound stroke on the unit, but any wounds allocated to the unit have to go to the shields first now. You can't save them until the end. It's a minor change, but it's kind of different. And then your paired Curse Blades are rerolls hits, just reroll hits, period. That's really all the changes. Skyfire stayed the same. Spawns, if you roll double to determine frequent mutations, add 1 to hit and wound rolls for attacks made by the attacking model until the end of the phase. That's a little bit different. Your Zangor Shaman is exactly the same. The Enlightened and the Enlightened on Disciples of Tzeentch are also exactly the same. Couldn't spot any differences. And then again, the Zangors, the same thing with the Arcanite Shield. You have to allocate to the shield models first when they take damage. And then we're into the endless spells. The Burning Sigil of Tzeentch. It casts on a 5. You set it up wholly with an 18 of the caster. It's got Radiant Transmogrification. These are some 25-cent words in this book, man. At the end of your movement phase, if the Burning Sigil of Tzeentch is on the battlefield, you can roll a die on the following table. Dismembered by change. Pick a unit within 12 of the model invisible. They take D3 mortal wounds. If any models are slain, set up a spawn within 3 of that unit. Crippling Appendages. Pick one unit within 12 of the model invisible. Have the move characteristic of that unit until the start of your next hero phase. Mutative Flux. Pick one unit from within 12 of this model invisible. That unit can move D6 even if it ran in the same turn. Spawning Limbs. Pick a unit within 12 of this model invisible. Add 1 attack characteristic of the unit's melee weapons at the start of your next hero phase. And Shifting Aura, pick 1 unit from within 12 of this model invisible. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks to target that unit until the start of your next hero phase. So some of these things are good and bad. So like, even sending it over to your opponent, there's no guarantee it's gonna be good. It could or bad. It could be good for them too. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about the Burning Sigil of Tzeentch. It's so capricious. Like, it's very in character with Tzeentch, but like, I don't know if I'd pay points to maybe make my opponent armies better. Like, it doesn't. Tome of Eyes, cast on a 5, set up within 1 inch of the caster. As long as on the battlefield, the caster and the Tome of Eyes are treated being a single model. It's kind of like the pot for the spiders, or the Gloomspite gets, rather. If he's slain, the Tome of Eyes is immediately removed. You get the Parchment Curse. The Parchment Curse has a casting value of 8. Only the caster of the Tome of Eyes can attempt to cast this spell. It's a new spell that you know. If cast, pick an enemy unit within 18 invisible. On a 3+, they take D3 mortal wounds. In addition, for each model slain, subtract 1 from their bravery for the rest of the battle. And then abilities transfixed by countless eyes. If the Tome of Eyes on the battlefield, you can reroll a casting rolls for the caster. In addition, if the unmodified roll is a 2 or a 12, the spell is automatically cast and can't be unbound, but the caster takes D3 mortal wounds after it's resolved. So, pretty cool. You can auto cast and reroll casts. You can also use your fate dice there to make it 2s and 12s if you want to, and you just want to suck up some damage. That's pretty neat. I like Tome of Eyes. It's definitely what I'd take. How many points is it though? Because that's going to really depend. Tome of Eyes is only 40. Oh, I think that one's going to be pretty popular. Your Demonic Simulacrum. This is the big bird head thing. It's predatory in a single model. It can move up to 9 inches and can fly. Cast on a 7, set up within 12 of the caster. Twisting Mirage, when it's set up, the player setup can immediately move. And Snapping Jaws, after it's moved, roll 9 dice for the closest unit within 6. If more than one is equally close, the player that moved it can choose which one, and roll 9 dice. For each 5+, take a mortal wound. If it's a unit, they take a mortal wound on a 4+ instead. If they're a wizard, sorry, they take a mortal wound on a 4+ instead because they like eat magic. So, let's look at some point values. Pitch battle profiles. Horrors of Tzeentch, yeah, got more expensive. They're 200 now. So, sorry, Horrors. And they're only battle line if they don't contain any blue or horrors or brimstone horrors. So no, and that means that thing I just talked about doesn't work. That means that the taking the four heroes and then brimstone or blue horrors to be your battle line doesn't work. You have to take Carrick Acolytes instead. So you can still do it because they're 100 for 10. So you can still just take Carrick Acolytes and not horrors, but yeah, no horrors. No getting extra battle line troops to hold your objectives because they split down. Carrick Acolytes get no discount now. They're 100 points for 10, go up to 30. Zangors stayed the same. The Blue Scribes went down to 120, so down 20 points. Changecaster, the Herald, went down 30 points to 110. The Changeling went down 60 points to 120 because he lost all of his jank. The Curseling stayed at 160. The Fate Master stayed at 120. The Fate Skimmer, the big like burning chariot, went down 60 points to 140. Herald on a Disc went down 10 points to 130. The Gaunt Summoner went down 40 points to 240. The Magister went down 40 points to 100. Magister on a Disc stayed the same. The Thaumaturge went down 10 points to 160, as did the Zangor Shaman to 150. Voltormus, the All-Seeing, the Eyes of the Nine, went down 80 points to 140. It seems like they're discounting all of the Shadespire guys, the Warhammer Underworlds guys. Treacherous Weaver went up 20 to 400. I'm not surprised. He's pretty awesome. He can now cast cast and dispel an extra spell, so I think that's worth it. Lord of Change stayed at 380. Burning Chariot stayed at 150. Flamers, Exalted Flamers went up to 100. Flamers went down 20 to 120. Screamers went down 20 to 80. Enlightened just stayed at 100. And Enlightened on Discs went to 180, so they went up 20 points. And then Skyfire stayed at 200, and Tzeentch Chaos Bond stayed at 50. Your Aether Host is 140, Ultrakin is 140, Arcanate Cabal is 140, the Cult is 80, Change Host is 180, Fate Legion is 80, Multitudinous Host is 160, Omniscient Oracles, the one with the Greater Demons, is 160, the Overseer's Fate Twisters is 160, the Sky Shoal Coven is 140, Zangor Coven is 180, Warp Flame Host is 140, the Witchfire Coven is 160, and your Burning Sigil is 40, the Tome, which you'll probably always take, is 40, and the Demonic Simulacrum is 50. I don't know if that's worth it. Your allies are Beasts of Chaos, excluding all the Nurgle units, Monsters of Chaos, Slaanesh, and Slaves of Darkness, excluding any units with the mark of Nurgle. And there it is. This is Disciples of Tzeentch. What do I think? I don't know. It's neat. I do feel like whoever wrote this book was trying to make it Slaanesh without being OP. Because I think Workshop feels like they may have overdone it with Slaanesh, and they're good. They got some buffs. Their points went down generally for all the like support staff, but the core stuff like the horrors went up. They didn't seem to touch the Enlightened at all, which I was surprised by because a lot of people cherry picked them in other armies, and they're still really good. Like they didn't change at all. Their rules are the same. Their point cost is the same. So I think they're happy with the power level on those, and they seem to have been trying to like push up and down the power level on other things. The horror combo unit's a bit odd. Making a 200-point battle line unit for 10 models. I mean, it's a way to quickly collect an army. You gotta have... I mean, to be fair, it's not 10 models. It's actually 40... 50 models, because it's 10 turns to 20 turns to 10 again. No, 10 turns to 20 turns to 20. I don't know how that works. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So it's 10, 20, 50 models. Yeah. So... that's 150 models if your 3 battle lines are all horrors. That's pretty crazy. But you can't cherry pick cheap stuff without taking the Arcanite stuff. I do feel like they kind of tried to put the Arcanite stuff a bit more in the 4 there. They make sense now as a cheap battle line choice for 100 points for Carrick Acolytes. They're not bad. They're pretty good. The point system for summoning seems pretty balanced. I don't think you're going to cast that many spells each round, although you will wear out the dispel attempts most armies have pretty quickly. I mean, most armies have 2 to 3. On average, they might have more if they're like a magic-based army, like Undead or Sylvaneth or something like that. They might have a few extras, but like even so, you're gonna have like 7 to 8 casts probably per turn if you're taking just an average amount of like heroes and stuff, because all of your heroes are wizards. So it feels pretty good. I want to see it on the table again. I feel like Tzeentch for the last little while has just been cherry picked in other armies, so it'd be cool to see them on the table again. And maybe I'll try them out with my Slaves of Darkness, because I'm gonna paint my Slaves of Darkness fairly undivided looking, and maybe give them like some hints of washes and stuff to color them a little bit, but for the most part I'll be able to put them in other things. It means I can buy like the odd Greater Demon or whatever and kind of like slot them in and try them out. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Look at Chaos Battletome Disciples of Tzeentch. I think time will tell on how it goes on the table. The Fate Dice system is neat. Everything being dependent kind of on casting rolls to power up your army is a bit different, whereas the Slaanesh one's a bit more automatic because it's just causing damage. You're always causing damage. The casting spells is a little more random, so I don't think they're going to be in the same power. They're not going to freak people out. I think they'll be fun to play. They'll be different. They feel like they're in theme. They got some cool new stuff. I like the endless spells, although the one capricious one, while super in character, doesn't feel like I'd ever use it. But it's not. I don't think it's going to be like overpowered. And I think people are still going to cherry pick the units they like, because obviously they didn't change the disc riders at all. So there it is. If you want to check out my review of the Caradron Overlords, you can go up here in the cards. And of course, on the paint table is going to be briefly out today as well, as I talk about what I finished off for last year. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you next time for more GMG reviews. Till next time, I'm Ash. Happy wargaming.
I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Death Ray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.